Hello, West Ham Network. It's Holly, and I'm going to be chatting about all things West Ham versus Aston Villa tonight. So if you enjoy this video, as always, please do give it a thumbs up. Drop your thoughts down in the comments section about game week 1. And of course, make sure you subscribed if you're new around here. So we're going to be starting tonight with a very non-opinionated update in terms of the stats. And then we're going to be going into all the fun stuff. So first of all, I'm going to take a little look. So as you can see, these stats show a fair bit of difference. So we had just about the majority of possession. We had 14 shots and we had more touches in the opponent's box than Villa with 26, which is something we also didn't do many times last season. To put this into perspective though, when we last faced Villa and drew 2-1 back in March, we had just 30% of possession compared to 51% this time around. We also had 136 less passes in total last time when we played them, with 264 compared to tonight's 400. So the stats paint a picture of pretty significant improvement. But watching the game, you wouldn't necessarily see that. You don't necessarily see a change in style. You can't really see exactly where we're going yet. And it is going to be a bit of a slow burn. But again, we're going to be looking at that in a little bit more detail. So starting with a bit of an overview of the game. Dreadful start, conceding in the first few minutes. You could have written it, but we did get back into the game more after the penalty. All things considered, I would say we deserved a draw because we did manage to get back into it. And as the game went on, there were opportunities for us to score, which we didn't manage to put away. It was so West Ham that Jhon Duran would score their winner. They scored with some one-touch football, basically on the break. It was always going to be him that scored, wasn't it? Defensively, we didn't do well in terms of the goals that we conceded. We will be looking at individual players and their roles in that. But we did have some massive chances that we missed. And ultimately, that plus our failure to track a few players did cost us. So yeah, we're going to be looking at the more individual performances, but we played a fair few of last season's starting 11. I know on social media people are already talking a lot about it, and a lot of them showed that they're not necessarily up to speed, but I think that when we do have some of the new players that we've brought into the club up to speed, ready to play and ready to be starting, I reckon it'll be very interesting to see what Lopetegui does moving forward in terms of starting lineup. So alongside those stats, there were some key differences in the ways that we did approach this game compared to last season. So first of all, when we went a goal down, we didn't sit back and goal defensive like we used to. We didn't pass around the fence in a little horseshoe shape. Lopetegui did not look happy. I'd be interested to see which exact points he wasn't happy with. I'm assuming that he wasn't seeing the players perform in the way that they'd set up to play. But I'd love to know what it actually was that he was frustrated with most. And we did leave it rather late with subs, which is something that we're very familiar with at West Ham. But what we did see when we made subs is that Lopetegui isn't afraid to be a bit brutal with the players that he chooses to take off. So Antonio, Bowen and Paqueta, they were all taken off in a triple substitution. Antonio and Bowen in particular, two players that used to get loads of game time, they didn't really do anything on the ball today. And I think it's clear that he will take off any players that aren't making a difference, regardless of who they are, how long they've been at the club, whether they're the captain now or not. And he also took off Soufal, who didn't have a good game, as he kept letting players have way too much space over on the right. And the main reason that I'm happy with this is I think we need, as a team, to lose the loyalty to players when it's not working. I don't think there's any shame in making decisions where you take off some of the players that used to get loads of game time or players that just are being ineffective, to switch it up, even tactically when you are playing well. Like, we need to be able to make these harsh decisions. And that's something that we weren't really doing under Moyes, because we had players that we favoured and we would basically have the same starting 11 unless they were injured or absolutely run ragged. So it was kind of refreshing to see that we will make brutal decisions in terms of who we substitute. I reckon the reason they were late was because Lopetegui wanted to give them as much time as he could to work out what they were capable of, and again give them those precious minutes playing together with the few newbies that he did incorporate before we incorporate more, because just basically swapping the whole side up would be a big old change, wouldn't necessarily work very well. So yeah, it's good to see that that he can be a little bit brutal, and I reckon we might see some earlier substitutions in the games to come. He also isn't afraid in the way that he sets up. So we went 2 up top with Fulkrug and Ings in, I think it was like the 84th minute. So we went in for the kill despite being attacked, and we tried to rescue those points, which is another thing we really haven't done in a long time at West Ham. And it's the type of reaction that we'd wanted to see, rather than passing the ball around our defence Obviously, bringing Ings on isn't necessarily the inspiring substitution that we'd hoped for. However, we did go 2 up top. And it'll be interesting again when everyone's fit to see what we could do in terms of subs. Now, moving on to the individual players. We've got to start with Kudus. He was absolutely unstoppable tonight. He was so exciting. Almost every single thing that he did came off. And I think he's going to be a really, really incredible player this season. It looks like he stepped it up a whole new level from what we saw tonight. And he'll just bring so many players into the game. He was fast. He was unpredictable. I think he's going to be an absolute wonder to watch this season. Summerville didn't get too much game time, but he was one of the players that came on and made a real impact. And I think he's going to be so exciting on the wing. He got one really amazing ball into Ings near the end of the game. And yeah, just really keen to push forward. And he was one of those players that he takes people on and he dances with the ball, similar to Paqueta when he's having a good game, the way that he's just so confident on the ball, and it's so exciting. And again, we've known that left wing is a position that we've really needed somebody to own. And I think he could be the perfect player to do that for us this season. Mavropanos looks solid. I previously doubted him, actually. So that was a really nice surprise to see that he performed well. Kilman made a couple of really, really good stops and looked so calm and collected on the ball, which was brilliant. So he could be another exciting one to watch this season. It might be a little bit early to call it, but I think that he could be a very big part of the solution to us leaking goals. There's still a lot of work to be done there, as we noticed tonight. But yeah, I think Kilman's going to be a solid part of our defence. Souček, a lot of people talking about him. He missed the goal opportunity at the end. He did well to recover a few balls, but then he basically gave it back to Villa. He did win us the penalty, took the ball down with a really good touch before he entangled with Matty Cash and was taken down. But yeah, a lot of criticism for him. Wasn't necessarily very good. Summerville as well stressed me out tonight. Summerville really stressed me out tonight. He kept leaving players unmarked, which cost us massively. We've been doing this for a lot of last season as well, where he just gets dragged into the centre. And sometimes we'll have 4 West Ham players on 2 of our opponents. And there's just a player out on the wing that Summerville doesn't pull across to. And it's almost like he does it too late. So we give them time to set up the perfect cross into the box. Couple of 1-2s, like it does cost us massively, and it's something that we need to fix. Antonio didn't do much at all. I definitely don't think he's one of the players that is going to benefit us much from starting at all. Perhaps better used as an impact sub. I don't know whether Fulkrug was 100% fit, and that's why we chose to start Antonio. But then again, if you were watching historically what Antonio is capable of, and maybe in training he's been good, he can make a difference. Maybe Fulkrug isn't ready. That's the only reasoning that I can think that we'd spend so much on a striker and not start him. But it was something that I thought was going to happen, that we wouldn't see Fulkrug start anyway. But hopefully over time we will. Fulkrug didn't really get a chance to do much, but he does need service to do what he does, and he didn't have long on the pitch. So hopefully he can get some more game time and we can see what he's capable of. So that is my summary of tonight's game. But I think the biggest thing that I took from today is that it's going to take some time and some patience to gel. And as fans, I think we're going to have to sit back, to watch, to hopefully, fingers crossed, enjoy. There's been some criticism already on social media of Lopetegui using a similar squad to Moyes, making late subs. But these two things are not absolutely insane. Like if we take emotions of how frustrated we were with how Moyes was playing, if I was to tell you that a Premier League manager has come in, only made a few changes to the previous season's squad and made a few subs late because he was giving game time to those on the pitch, you wouldn't be absolutely baffled at it. And I think, unfortunately, that's what's happened. I think Lopetegui's got to choose his starting 11. He's got to give them time to gel, and he's got to find out what he needs to change or work on based on that. I think he's chosen his starting 11 based on who's ready, who's fit to play, who he's seen historically make a difference at West Ham, and what he's seen in training. And players like Bowen usually make a really big difference. And tonight, he didn't have a good game. He didn't really do anything. So he didn't link up with Summerville. And then Summerville's had a defensive shocker. And then sometimes the only thing that saves Summerville is his 1-2s going up the pitch. So when he has a bad game defensively, we go, oh, got a few balls into the box, though, got an assist. And he didn't do that today. So obviously, like these were the things that didn't necessarily work, and they won't work every single game. But I think that really showed up a few more of the areas that we really need to improve. And once we've got all the players up to speed and at Lopetegui's disposal properly, like fully fit and ready to go, and training well and doing everything that he needs them to, I think we could see a pretty different starting 11 compared to what we had today, with some of the old guard that aren't performing being swapped out, which I'm sure is what a lot of people are quite excited to see what we'd be capable of. Some of the subs that we did bring on were really, really exciting and did make a difference. And some of the new players do look like they've got a lot of promise. We didn't really have any howlers, and that is amazing because usually at West Ham we'll bring a sub on and they'll have a shocker, like a Calvin Phillips style debut. But yeah, we had a lot of strength on that bench. I think we'll be able to utilise these players a lot better and still be able to switch up our tactics with some solid subs, because this is the area that we're not really chatting about so much at the moment. It's the fact that we have actually got the squad depth now, that some of the players that started today that we were like, oh, why have we started them? Those, I imagine, will be replaced and put on the bench. And that is a really strong bench. Previously, we've looked at our bench and gone, I think it will actually weaken us bringing on any of those with fresh legs. Now, I think we can look at those and go, okay, well, like if Sufal was on the bench, he can do some good 1-2s with Bowen on the right wing and then get the ball in with fresh legs, so he won't be so tired and so slow. So there's a lot of areas that I think tactically we can make subs, and we can base it on the opposition, and we can base it on how the game's going. And this is the kind of thing that Lopetegui is likely to do, compared to Moyes, who would just choose the best players and hope that one of them can do something because he's capable of it. So yeah, I think we've got exciting times on the horizon. I just think it's on the horizon. It's not in the immediate vicinity at the moment. And Moyes' style, being so defensive, was something that did cost us massively. But we don't necessarily have to start and please don't shoot me for saying this, we don't have to change the entire starting 11 just because under Moyes certain players weren't performing. We've seen it before with players that struggle under one manager and then thrive under a different manager. So personally, I'm trying to stay calm. I'm trying to believe that we need to give Lopetegui the time to get everybody playing how he needs them to. And it's early days. It was always going to take some time to gel and for players to get up to speed, some of which I'm assuming by them being on the bench, they weren't up to speed to play a full 90 with us. And it's going to take us a bit of time to find our style of play and for players to get used to that and for Lopetegui's work on the training ground to start paying off. So personally, I'm not panicking. I would have loved to have seen us have a drastic difference in the first game, but I don't think that's a realistic expectation. But let me know your thoughts. So drop us a comment down below and tell us how you're feeling after the first game of the season, because I'm really interested to see what everyone thinks first game in. Typically, you lose the first game of the season and we're like, oh, here we go, because we know we've got a pretty difficult run of fixtures coming up, but we've got a strong squad. We've got a new project. We've got a lot of hope. There's a lot to look forward to. And I don't think it could have happened just in pre-season. We are seeing some differences already. Like I said, bringing you back to those stats, we are actually getting a decent amount of possession. We are getting a decent number of shots away. We got a lot more passes. Our pass accuracy was a lot higher. This is all compared to when we last faced Villa as well. So I think there's a lot to look forward to, and it would be a shame for us to panic and to put unnecessary stress in the fan base when we could just be sort of trying our very best to enjoy it, because there aren't many times at West Ham where you get to enjoy things. We've got such a good squad now, and it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time for us to gel. So let's all try and stay calm. That's what I'm trying to do anyway. I don't mind about losing those 3 points at all. But I trust in Lopetegui, I trust in Tim Steidten, and I trust in the players that we've brought in. It's great that the season's back, and I'm sure it's going to be a really interesting one as well to see how the rest of our games unfold. The Premier League is back. The stress of the Premier League is back. West Ham are back with the stress that comes with following West Ham. We are back at West Ham Network, reporting on all the games. There's loads and loads of stuff to follow. So please do make sure you subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already. Drop us a comment below. We're going to be reacting to all your thoughts as well. I want in-depth analysis as well. I want to know everything you're thinking about that game. Players that were good, players that disappointed you, what you think we need to do moving forward. Are you scared? Are you confident? Do you believe in Lopetegui? All of that. Let us know. But that's all from me for now. And until next time, have a great evening. Come on, you Irons.